Good morning. My name is Marilyn Brown, and I'm a Regents professor at Georgia Institute of Technology. And I first came to know Tim Echols in 2010 when he was elected to become commissioner of the Public Service Commission of Georgia, representing the Athens area, where he earned several degrees at that other university across the state. I began my term as a utility commissioner in that same year in 2010. There's not much. Okay. But I like this parallel because I was commissioner of the Tennessee Valley Authority for my first term and was very miraculously pleased to be appointed to a second term about the same time he was very easily elected to his second term. My term ended last year, and now I spend my time doing research and teaching students about climate change and climate change solutions. I have 6 of my master's students here somewhere. They've been dedicated to helping take notes and run meetings. They're part of the Master's in Sustainable Energy and Environmental Management, the inaugural class. During this time, Tim has become one of the most technologically sophisticated and media-savvy utility commissioners in the country. Through his media messaging, Tim is crystal clear about what his priorities are, and many of them overlap with mine. For instance, more solar, more electric, more energy efficiency, more electric vehicles, and we got to finish Plant Vogel. Tim can also speak knowledgeably about state-of-the-art new technologies, microgrids, and renewable natural gas. When he doesn't know something, what he does is bring experts together on the air on his radio show. So check it out, Saturday mornings, WGAU Radio in Atlanta. So without further ado, it's my honor and privilege to introduce Tim to you, and I'm excited to learn what he has to say about what a changing climate means for Georgia. Thank you.
Let's just finish up with this thing here. I'm going to tell you, this is so unfair what you guys have done to me. I mean, all of you who've ever given a speech in public, you're sitting here going, that is so wrong. I mean, you totally agree with me on this, don't you? To make me go after her? I'm really stunned. I thought it was an honor to get the invitation here, and now I see the real agenda. Talking about being uncomfortable. I'm sitting there. I'm the one uncomfortable. I needed to go to the bathroom, and I was afraid to get up and go. Call me out for that, too. I'm just chunking my entire presentation, and I want to draw your attention to Hog Hammock, to Sapelo Island. And, I know that Republicans she's taking a couple of shots at the president here. I know Republicans, we get blasted for any number of things, from not using the C word, right? Not using the C word, to being uncaring. And here's what I want to appeal to you is, do not paint everyone with the same broad brush. That's right. It's unfair for you to do that. Yeah, who's clapping? Andres, you're the man. You're the man. Thank you. This is Hog Hammock. This is a solar pavilion that was erected for the public library there as a result of Dennis Coleman and I walking around the island as I'm helping him try to get some zoning issues settled for his house because there's a group of Republican commissioners that control that county. And I get a call from Virginia that Dennis has purchased some land there. He's having some trouble getting a house built, and I'm down there, and he says to me, man, Tim, it'd be great if you could do something for this community. And as we walked around, If you've ever been to, any of you ever been to Hog Hammock? So a quarter of the room, you know about the old cars that are there, and it's just hard to get things off the island. It's hard to get anything on the island because you got to pay to get it on there. But we built a $35,000 solar pavilion with nice industrial picnic tables that are going to last 100 years, and that power is powering that community library, helping them with their energy costs for the next 30 or 40 years. I mean, that's something that we can get excited about. Yes, yes. Believe it or not, she's my choir. You know I'm in trouble if she's my choir. You know, I'm. What's that? Yeah, thank you. As you were pelting me, I reached into my notebook and grabbed a little notepad from the UCLA Luskin Conference Center where I just returned from yesterday at the 100% Clean Cities Conference. It's the only person from Georgia there, and probably the only Republican that was there. And in our breakout group that morning, an African-American woman in my group says to our group, because we're talking about messaging about clean cities to red and purple states. That was what my little small group was doing. And she said to me, and I quote, "I don't have time to worry about polar bears if I can't put food on my table." Amen? Yeah. So this, certainly it is a concern. It should be a concern for all of us to help take better care of our neighbors and those around. And for me as a state official, my neighbors are in all 159 counties. Any other elected officials that are here today? What's your jurisdiction?
I serve on city council in the city of Fairburn.
Okay. Yeah, so her neighbors are the folks in her city, in Fairburn. She's got a responsibility, a duty to take care of them. I have a duty to take care of folks in my state. That's why at 3 o'clock today, we're doing a conference call with the Harambe House and a lot of other Savannah nonprofits to talk about going door to door in the poorest parts of your city in January, February, and March, and helping to identify energy efficiency upgrades that need to be made. You don't even know about this call today? Somebody from your staff is going to be on this phone call. Yeah, now who's talking? Now who's preaching? Now who needs to go on a little guilt trip? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Get with the program. But we're going to do this in Savannah because Edward Grisham, an African-American contractor, came to me at a listening session that I was doing with Representative Carl Gilliard in Garden City, and he says, "Tim, what if we concentrate in one given area and bring all the folks together that we can to identify needs, whether it's insulation, a broken window, a wheelchair ramp, whatever. Let's combine forces and see if we can help. Let's do this experiment." And so we've got a conference call today with all the folks that want to be a part of that in Savannah to be able to make that happen. We'll see if we can pull it off. But look, if you don't ask, if you don't have a vision, you're certainly not going to accomplish it. So I think we've got a lot of things to be proud about in our state. And one of the things that came out of this 100% clean energy conference that's organized by Jeanette Gehr's parent group, I guess Environment America, was that words matter. And just the word clean. What does it mean to you? Because I'm telling you, there were 30 states represented on the UCLA campus, and it meant different things to different people that were there. And one of my pet peeves is when people weaponize words like clean, like climate, and they use it to beat me over the head with it. It bothers me. And let me tell you why it's disingenuous. And let me tell you why you need to ask more clarifying questions when people put forward policy ideas to you. I mean, I didn't have the opportunity to go to Georgia Tech. I got 3 degrees from the University of Georgia. You know, one of them English. What do you do with that? Nonprofit organizations, public relations, and then basket weaving was my minor. That's a joke on the basket weaving. But words matter, and it mattered out there as city after city got up and said, well, we decided to be 100% by this date. So when matters. Some of them had pressure relief valves. If we don't, we can escape from our commitment. Does that matter? Does it matter to you that someone commits to do something, but they got a little wiggle room? How would you say that? Wiggle room? You good with wiggle room from Harvard? What about folks that do executive orders, as the California senator said, versus some kind of statute or ordinance that's binding? All of these things matter. So when you start pelting Republican leaders about why aren't we more clean, you better define it. The Sierra Club got up and defined it. They said, we really need clean, renewable power. And the Sierra Club rep outlined exactly what that was. Because clean is different than renewable. I mean, in Georgia, as the organizer of the Luskin Center came up to me afterwards, sensing my panic, kind of like I'm experiencing here, and he said to me, Commissioner, you really shouldn't be worrying about this. I said, why? He said, because you're in charge there and you get to decide what it means. I said, oh man, I didn't think about that. You're right. I should be happy about this because I get to have a role in helping define what it means, which, to your point, Daniel, stronger conversations mean constructive conversations. It means conversations built in relationships like we already have. And so while she was pelting me, what you didn't know, yeah, you were. But while that was happening, what you didn't know is that we do already have a relationship. That you know, I've been to their facility. We're working together on things. And it's okay. It's okay to speak your mind. It's okay to, you know, and that's why I'm speaking directly to you. Because as the president was disparaged, you clapped. You clapped. You know what? I am a Republican constitutional officer, and I have seen, and where's Dr. Mark Farmer at? Mark, the event you held at the chapel where you brought in the congressman from South Carolina, Bob Inglis lost his job. He lost his job because he, as a Republican, began to I think, succumb to the pressure of using the terminology of the other party, and Trey Gowdy took him out. And I tell my Democratic friends, there is no stronger advocate for electric cars in Georgia than me. And you start making me use your terminology and use your words, you're going to eliminate me from the equation. And they may really be happy about that deep down. But you cannot expect Republican officials to see things exactly the same way you do. And that's why we have to focus on results. We have to focus on, in this case, how much more solar can we do? I mean, for me and for Bubba McDonnell, you know, Georgia Power comes in, they want to do 1,000 megawatts of solar, and when the thing's over, they're walking out with 2,260 megawatts. And you're not going to read about this in the newspaper, about all the backroom stuff that goes on or the negotiating, or you're not going to read about any of that stuff. But every time they've come to us wanting to do something or not wanting to do something, they've walked out the door doing more solar than they thought they were going to do. And there is value in that. Commissioner McDonnell also did a motion to increase energy efficiency that no one was expecting. And that is going to change the quality of life for some of the people that you're talking about. Because when you put, as I say, I'd rather put the insulation in the house before I put the solar panel on it. You know, why build a power plant on some box that's leaking? And that's what we're going to be looking for in Savannah. We're not going to be looking necessarily for roofs that are facing in the right direction. We're looking for houses that need energy efficiency improvements, because we know that insulation and tightening that envelope will save that consumer money. And what did she say? I don't have time to worry about polar bears. We've got to get their energy, the box tightened up. We've got to improve their energy efficiency. I just came from California. They are the dominant force for electric vehicles, not just in America, but in the world. Germany, any Germans in the room? Germans are awful proud of the way they do things over there. They don't like electric cars. I don't care what you read. They don't like electric cars and they don't like batteries. I've been there. I've met with executives. I've met with government officials. Californians do. California is leading the way. Germany has 60,000 electric cars. California has 600,000. California knows how to do this. Cox Enterprises, and you heard from Stephen Bradley yesterday, Cox Enterprises, in their Cox Conserves program, they're putting their money where their mouth is. Cox Enterprises is going to be the leader in bringing electric vehicle technology to Atlanta, working with Georgia Power Electric Transportation, because Georgia Power has just signed a lease to be in the very facility with Cox Enterprises, where you go down there and there's a whole lot full of used Teslas being reconditioned. There's other electric vehicles like the 50 Leaf Chevy Bolts. That is the Cox facility. That Bolt is sitting inside the old auction barn, and Lyft is running 50 of those vehicles practically 24/7 in Atlanta, doing more to advance electric cars, I think, than anything. And why? Because when you give 10 rides a day in an electric car to anybody who calls a ride share, you are doing a lot of ride and drives. And there are groups in this room like Ann Blair and the Electric Club, Car Club of Atlanta. They sponsor ride and drives. She knows how hard it is to pull one of these events off. And when you got 50 cars running around the city, that's powerful. I've asked Lyft to bring another 50. They said, but we're paying too much for power at those chargers. Can you do something? I intervened. Georgia Power's lowered the amount for them. And now I'm asking Lyft to pony up, to do what they said they were going to do, bring another 50 into the city. This is happening in Seattle. It's happening in Portland. Not happening many other places. Atlanta's in that company. It's a great thing. Cox just invested $350 million in Rivian. And you know what? If they hadn't done that, we probably wouldn't have any Rivian trucks here on the East Coast, because you know where they'd be? California. They'd all be in California. But you can bet there are going to be Rivian trucks here because of Cox Enterprises' investment. And obviously, we need to maximize the opportunity with the state of Georgia to put electric vehicles on the procurement list. I would venture to say most of you have never thought about that. But I've thought about it, and I intervened with the Fiscal Management Council. I went to Jekyll Island 2 weeks ago and spoke to them on a Sunday afternoon and gave them a 20-minute presentation on why electric vehicles should be on the state procurement list and how it's going to save the state of Georgia money. And you know, when you're doing something like that, you want some radical left-leaning person doing that, or you want your Republican out there doing that? Huh? No, of course not. Last thing about batteries. I told you the Germans didn't like batteries, and you're going, that can't be. That's true. You know why? EU law allows them to buy and sell electricity across country lines, really, no premium. That's what the Germans call flexibility. This is why they don't need batteries. Batteries are more expensive than flexibility. California likes batteries, though, because it's helping them engineer themselves out of that duck curve They've got a lot of solar out there. They've really pushed it. And these batteries, and this is a battery array in San Diego. That's me sitting there looking inside that with my back to you. Those were BMW chemistry sets, 30 megawatt array that San Diego Gas and Electric did. And you're going to see more and more. They're not ready for prime time yet. Emory, hopefully, keeping our fingers crossed, hopefully Emory gets some of the batteries that the Public Service Commission just approved. Do you know we approved 80 megawatts of utility scale batteries? And I'm cheering for y'all. I'm saying, how about Emory? How about that substation you guys own? And I want to see you get that, because I know you're committed to sustainability here, and we want to help you as we can. So I added, at kind of the last minute, as a result of EVgo and a relationship I had with one of their people on Twitter, EVgo from California, I added a Second Life battery project, taking used electric vehicle batteries, like as Mary Lander's Leaf wears out, and she gets a new battery because it's gone beyond the warranty. What happens to that battery, right? They're not recycling them. They're sitting in a warehouse. Can we take a battery that has a little bit of juice left and just link it together with a bunch of others, put it in a container using a high-tech battery management system, and charge electric vehicles with it? Yes, we can. And we authorized Georgia Power to create that. And I'm not sure where it's going to go. Probably will go down at the Cox Enterprises Pivot facility, because they have so much charging that they're doing. And then, of course, the thing coming up, will the PSC allow Georgia Power to rate base new chargers? And our staff does not want to allow the power company to rate base chargers. They have come and said, it's not in the public interest. And I am doing all that I can with my colleagues to say, let me tell you why it's in the public interest. Let me tell you why, even though the charger, that as they drive back to Savannah, you're not on a private jet, are you?
No.
Okay. As you drive back to Savannah, as you go through Dublin at Burger King, there's a charger there. As you go through Metter, which everybody stops to go to the bathroom in Metter. Go by Parker's and you're going to see those EV chargers. Those chargers don't generate very much money. But you know what? If you're driving an electric car to Savannah, you need one of those chargers. You need it. And so there is a public interest in doing this. And I want to see Georgia Power add more chargers. They want to add more chargers, but they would like for you to pay for them. And our staff, we hold your wallet. And our staff says, no. Even though it's just a small amount of money, it's not in the public interest. But it is, and I'm making the case. I'm making the case for that. So I'll end with just saying that collaboration through stronger relationships enables acceleration. That the goal should not be to play gotcha with our neighbors and our friends. The goal is to build relationships that bring results. Do you want results? Are results important to you? Are they more important than rhetoric and getting someone to sign off on something? Yes, results are very important. And we want to continue to move our state forward with cleaner energy. And I think we're on a roll. I think we can do this. This is something that should be apolitical, amoral. Let's work together to move our state forward. Thank you.